You know, I'm just going to sit here and look pretty.
We might already have gone live. I think we've gone live. Looking gorgeous, Tanya. Okay, I'm just checking my phone, but yes, we normally go live quicker than when we're told, but yes, we are. Okay, so let's see, we haven't got anybody joined us yet, so I need to just get rid of this one now. Go away, go away. Okay, so you have a few people here, so we could just have a natter if we like, but yeah, no, we've got hello from Catherine.
Oh,
you all right there? Yeah, you can see. Yeah. Okay. You can even send me a secret message if you like. Don't tell anybody. But we won't have time to do that anyway.
We'll be far too busy.
Oh, we've got Rebecca from Texas. Hello, Rebecca. And we got Scott. Hi there, Scott. Great. Okay. So if any of you have got any questions, this is unlike the normal patient recovery Q&As that we do. We're not, well, we can just chat amongst ourselves to begin with at first anyway, if we want to, but we probably will. But this, rather than asking questions about somebody's recovery, this is about you as listeners just popping something in the comments box and asking either of us or both of us a question, and we will, you know, try and answer all your questions. But in the meantime, Tanya, do you want to tell us a bit about you, what you do? Because your background's McTimney chiropractor, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then do you want to just tell everybody where you're at with this, what you do?
Yeah, so I met you about 5 years, well, actually nearly 6 years ago now. And
seems like a long time.
I tend to kind of, I still do my chiropractic, but I mix in the SIRPA approach. So just depending on what people are open to, because not everybody's open to this. It's kind of like a big step to take in your thinking. So I just try and sort of encourage people to think differently about their pain and not to panic about it, and to just like perhaps encourage them to do a little bit more exercise, just to think about their lifestyle. Is there stress going on? Have they got pressure on themselves? Are they putting pressure on themselves? Because an awful lot of people, including me, put a lot of pressure on themselves, and that causes so many problems.
Yeah, and we learned that, haven't we? I mean, we learned that from a very young age, and it's about understanding that we, you know, you and I still have that strong TMS personality traits, you know, that
they don't go away.
No, they don't go away. Yeah, absolutely. And it's about learning to manage them, recognizing them, actually maybe getting noticing hopefully before they actually start causing pressure and dealing with it, rather than not being aware of them in the first place and just pushing through. And I've got an example of that of my own in a moment, but I'm just going to say hello first of all to Maria and Lindsay. They're both saying hello. Maria from Northeast England. So nice to see you all, and of course if you ask any questions we will answer. For now, there was an example of mine of the perfectionist side of me, that overly conscientious perfectionist side of me, that in the past would have caused a huge amount of stress. And this was a couple of weeks ago when I was doing a video, recording a video basically, and I put aside one day, it was a Friday, for the morning to do this video, and the afternoon I had another project I was doing, I can't remember what it was. But so in the morning I started recording this video, and then the phone went mid-recording and I'd forgotten to turn the phone off. And then later on the postman arrived and had a parcel to give me, so the doorbell went, so I had to scrap it and start again. And then I was using an external mic, and then I listened to it, because you have to unplug it to listen to it, check it's working. And I forgot to plug it in again and did it all beautifully, and realised it hadn't recorded. So it was getting towards the end of the morning, and then I managed it and I finished recording it, and then I had to edit it because Zoe wasn't in that day, so I'm having to sort of remember how you edit a video, and I had to do a quick Google or something. But anyway, I was watching this to go to edit it and thought, there's a bit of white on my jumper there. what is it? And it looks like just a spot of light. And so it wasn't anything really big, but a spot of light. And I looked down, I had a piece of paper on my jumper. And at that point I was going, oh, for goodness sake, it's taken me almost all morning to get to this point. So that was when I paused and went, okay, enough, sit back, actually just slow breathing, acknowledge how I felt, and then make a decision. Think, okay, so am I going to send this and use this, or do I want to redo it? And actually, you know what, I'm not going to redo it at the moment, but what I decided to do was rethink in the morning. So I'm just going to carry on with my day now, and then tomorrow I knew I had spare time, so tomorrow I will decide whether I'm going to actually redo it or not. And in the meantime, I went for a walk, so it cleared my head, came back, and I got on with my other project. And in the morning, I came into the office and I looked at it and I thought, no, do you know what? I would like to do it again. And I did it in about half an hour, and it was so much better because I practiced it so much the day before. But the difference between that and what I would have done in the past, which was actually probably I've just pushed through, worked all morning, and really just and carried on then because, oh, it's still not right, I've got to do it. And by which point I'd have been really tearing my hair out and probably had a headache by the end of the day. Whereas actually it was about, is it good enough? Yes, it was good enough. So let's leave it now, and then we'll reconsider at a later date whether I'm going to do it again. And actually I was in a better place the next day, so I did it. So we can't change who we are, can we?
I used to think that perfectionism meant that everything was done perfectly, and that's not me. But what I understand now is that because you don't think it's going to be perfect, because you don't think it's going to be good enough, it holds you back from doing stuff.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
And that's
procrastination.
Me. Because I'm a huge procrastinator. But do you know what I've got in my clinic? And not this one, the other one. I've got this lovely little wall decal, and it says, imperfect action beats perfect inaction. But what I really like about it is there's a little wrinkle on one of the letters. And I didn't go and perfect it because I thought that just encapsulates it all perfectly.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, very true. Yes. Okay, so hello to Tracy, and we've got a few, we've got 26 people listening in. Does anybody have any questions about your own recovery, about certain aspects of TMS, PPD, mind-body condition, whatever you want to call it? Maybe you're on your own journeys and you want a bit of advice, or maybe you've been reading one of the books and you don't understand something. So if you've got any questions, just type it into the comments box, please, and then we'll respond to that. So basically, Tania, you're certainly doing what I was doing at the beginning, which was actually still including having people to the clinic, assessing them physically, and then seeing where they're at. And actually, because of who I am, I just felt, no, I need to do this whole hog. But it is, as we all know, it's about meeting people where they're at, isn't it? You can't convince people. I'll read that question out in a little while, so that we don't need to read it now. But it is literally about meeting them where they're at and sowing seeds where necessary. As I'm sure some of the people even listening to this would probably be aware of, even themselves, maybe some of them will have read a book and just thought, this isn't me. I've heard people even tell me that they threw one of the books across the room before just putting it to the side. And many other people have said to me that they found the book on a bookshelf and they'd seen it and they'd even read it sometimes a few years before, but it just wasn't for them, whatever book that was in our field.
And it's to be the right time, hasn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
But you do get people who say, yeah, well, I've read that, and yeah, that sounds really interesting. But that's not me, because my pain is real, and everyone's pain is real. And sometimes, I mean, I even had it yesterday. Someone just said to me, is that on your screen?
Sorry, this isn't new. I didn't realise if it clicked that it would come up on the screen, because actually I can't see it without clicking that. That's interesting. So I'll click it again when you finish. So sorry, carry on then, Tania.
The lady had a patient in yesterday and said, oh, so it is, I'm not just making it up, then it is real. And I said, everybody's pain is real. Nobody needs to make it up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Pain's pain. It's real. Just because we're saying that it's a neural pathway and that there's emotion involved and it's a protective response from the brain doesn't mean that it's not real pain. It is real, but it is a protective response, and we know that pain is not linked to tissue damage. Okay, so I am going to click this again. Now I know what it means. I think if it's a long message, then you have to click it and it'll come up. So here we go. So I'll read this message. Okay, so I'll read it out there. I've only started my TMS journey, and something interesting happened to me the other day. I went for a walk with a friend and the whole thing was pain-free. Fabulous. No muscle spasm or pain. I went on the exact same walk a few days later with a different friend and was really struggling. Someone pointed out to me that the friend the first time was a new friend with no association with my past, and the second friend has been in my life forever. Can you associate people with pain memory? It was, now we can't see the rest of it. It was real. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, it was real. Okay, so this has happened to a client of mine recently who also went for a walk actually on her own and was pain-free and was using supportive affirmations and then listening to a really lovely podcast, etc., etc., and she was absolutely fine. Next day, she went on a walk with her husband, and then she had pain. And now, we're not saying the husband caused that pain, but it's the same thing with a friend. Yes, an association could be that maybe that can trigger pain within you. Sometimes it might be that you're so distracted with somebody new, or you're feeling empowered and strong that you don't feel the pain. Sometimes maybe you're with somebody that normally you can really relax with, or it's a different dynamic completely, and maybe even just feeling a bit, I don't know how to put this, maybe more vulnerable, so that more emotions might be more likely to come up, and so less being able to cope. So there can be all sorts of different things, or it might be that when you're on a walk with someone, they say something that triggers and presses a button. Sometimes it could be hard to understand.
It might be maybe someone that you've known for years actually just triggers some of your buttons. Historically, you know that we've all got friends who, we get on fine, but actually we did have an issue a few years ago, and that might just trigger some of your stuff, mightn't it?
Absolutely. There are so many subtle triggers, really is very subtle, because so many of these are unconscious. Okay, so Jackie says hello. Yes, hello, Jackie. And Maria says she had a flare-up last weekend. Oh, things have jumped, and became an observer without fear. Fabulous, Maria. That's exactly where we want to be at. Actually, rather than feeling resistant towards the symptom, and building up that resistance by focusing on it, or what you can do, what you can't do, and being really fearful. Because if you're obsessively focusing on your symptom, or what you can do or can't do, that's fear-based, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this is about actually being able to recognize that a symptom popping up, whether it's pain or anything, means that it's a signal from within. So it's literally just a signal from within that's indicating we're not feeling safe, or there's something that we're not dealing well with in our lives. Anything else you'd have to say about that, Tania? No,
I think she's done really well.
Absolutely, yes. Because reaching that point is so hard at times, isn't it? To really, and often what I encourage patients to do is journal to their pain or their body, first of all, because actually if you treat either the pain or the part of the body as an entity, as a person, and just being able to just vomit onto paper all your fears and worries about it and freak out and catastrophize, then actually then you've acknowledged and expressed. And then you can start turning it around and beginning to realize that, thinking about the vulnerable part of you, that vulnerable part of you that's just going, oh, I can't cope, I'm not feeling very safe. And once you begin to realize that, then it's easier to actually see it as just as a signal and not as something to fear.
I often call it like a license to be unreasonable when you're when you're in a journal, because I'm sure that's reasonable for what, that's fair enough, and we're all so reasonable. Actually, just be unreasonable, have a rant,
Yes.
Let rip.
Yes. That's why I often call it just vomit onto paper. Just let all this stuff that we don't feel we should be expressing, just let it out.
And I think Maria has almost answered Lucinda's next question, which is, if you think a new symptom is starting, how do you respond?
Yep.
Observe without fear.
Absolutely. And if you're expecting, we get what we expect. And we know that the functional MRI scans in the brain show that actually if you anticipate pain, it will exacerbate pain or trigger pain. And so even more important, if you think you're getting it, then change the terminology in your brain, reassure yourself, do some self-soothing, and yeah, talk yourself back down, because it's the unconscious, irrational brain, that part of the brain that is, freaks out when it sees a spider because it thinks it's going to kill you if you have a spider phobia. That's what the unconscious brain does. So yeah, it's actually, in fact, if you think you have a new symptom coming on, that's great. If you've got to the point where you become more emotionally aware and you have a feeling it's going to come on, then that gives you a great opportunity to act then rather than when the pain's on. So Tania, the next one is for you, isn't it? Lindsay.
Isn't it? Yes. So people who come, how many of the people that come to you with back pain, how many of them have a serious disease pathology versus how many TMS? What do we think? Most of them.
Yeah, quite.
Absolutely honest. But I'm pleased about that, because I don't want people coming to me with a disease pathology. And we screen them out, and really most of it is TMS, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they show that even looking at MRI scans, yes, you might have pathology in your MRI scans, but actually that same pathology is likely to be in anybody who doesn't have pain as well.
Yeah, and I do coaching with my patients if they're going to go and have an MRI, and say chances are you probably will have a disc bulge, and I might have a bigger disc bulge than you.
Yes.
But that doesn't necessarily explain your pain. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so Scott says, is there a step-by-step guide recommended by SIRPA? Not specifically, because each SIRPA practitioner integrates this work into their own approach. But what we do follow is that we address, first of all, it's an educational approach. So through the first step is education, because the more we understand, the less fearful we will be and the more self-empowered we can become. So the educational side is really important. And then we look at the emotional side of things, so acknowledging and expressing unresolved emotions. So unresolved emotions might be repressed emotion from the past, or avoided emotions day to day, where we're just rushing through the day and we're too busy and we're just not pausing enough to be still to even notice how we feel, or we've got very poor emotional awareness to be able to actually know how we're feeling. And then we look at the behavioural side. So this is like, we're talking about the being a perfectionist, or how we behave that might create stress. And so there are various strategies that can help with that. And then the lifestyle side, because people tend to think this is about, let's just get rid of the pain. Tell me what to do to get rid of the pain. Whereas we use this as a personal development program, don't we, Tania? And
that's the hard thing, isn't it? For sometimes people are so determined. So like I wrote 4 pages and the pain didn't go.
Or I did mindfulness, it didn't go. Or I did emotional awareness for 10 minutes and the pain didn't go. But often that is because it's fear-based, because you're trying to get rid of it. And I started using this analogy, as you know, Tania. I've got a couple of kittens now, and you're a cat person too. And I started thinking, it's almost like if you're trying to push pain away, I'm trying to get rid of this pain. And listen to the language of our patients is so interesting as well, isn't it? And if you think about trying to push a cat who doesn't want to go outdoors, how hard is that? But if you open the door and they want to go out, they will just go out. And this is about just letting go and working on ourselves so that we don't need the pain. And that's why sometimes when people have read the books and the pain's just gone like that, then actually they haven't learned much about themselves. And sometimes it can down the line be that they've not dealt with the way they create self-induced stress or the way they react to things in their lives. And if they get another symptom, as we all do, especially this last year, they start being fearful, or that maybe they just think, oh, that's all right, I'll read the book, it'll sort all the problems out. And often it doesn't. And then they start becoming more and more fearful, and then it just becomes a vicious circle. So this is very, I know you very well, Tania, and I know we both live by this, don't we? You know, if you have that sort of personality especially, then it is important that we actually become emotionally aware, we recognize what's going on, we deal with what's happening in our lives, and we learn how to respond better to what's going on in our lives.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so, we've got...
Christina's joined us, and Scott.
Sorry, what's that?
Christina, I'm just saying hello to Christina, she's arrived.
Right, yes. Okay, we've got a message from Lubna. Shall I put that on so that we can see that as well? I've been doing well with my recovery and my body has been feeling better. Well done. Cool. I've been trying to deal with stress better too. However, I had a particularly stressful experience the other day and everything seized up again. It really took me by surprise. Is it usual to experience setbacks along the way? Yes.
It's part of the learning.
It is.
Yeah. And I say to my clients, if I have pain, it's so that I can learn to help other people. You can just kind of stop and go, okay, well, what just happened to me there, and what else can I learn from it? It's a learning opportunity, isn't it?
It is, yes. And you know, I think the people that learn most are the ones that actually face these challenges, because actually when it happens, you learn how to deal with it. And the other thing is that you learn, if you're reacting with fear, then it is just going to increase the pain. I'll give you an example of mine, actually, and I do tell patients of mine this, that I'm working with one-to-one, that when before I came across this approach, I believed I had a bad neck and a bad back, and I used to get lots of recurring musculoskeletal problems, apart from other things. And we used to have a big trampoline when the kids were at home, and I used to love going on it, but I would not go on the trampoline with anybody else because I was really scared of somebody double bouncing me, for example, or just the kids not being careful, and then I might actually be double bounced, go far too high, land as it had happened before, and my knees give way, and I land and then crick my neck and then have painful one. And after coming across this work, and I have to admit, after the kids had left home, my husband and I were home one day, and I just said, why don't we go and jump on the trampoline? Because this is all about, you know, you can't go on a trampoline with somebody else and not laugh, can you? And much of this approach is about let go, just release, let go, and enjoy yourself. So we went on the trampoline. Now, my kids can deliberately double bounce. My husband and I cannot. And my husband is 6'1", I'm 5'1", and he double bounced me. I went flying in the air, and at the top of that bounce, that fear, automatic fear, in my head, and it almost looked just like an image of me coming down, knees giving way, going to the side, and cracking my neck. And that's exactly what happened because I expected it. I was basically telling my knees to give way because it was all so unconscious and automatic. Yeah. I landed, my knees gave way, I went to the side, I felt and heard a crack in my neck and had immediate pain. So I got off the trampoline straight away. And at that point, I didn't know if I damaged myself or not, but I absolutely knew that there was sheer fear at the top of that bounce because of what I expected. So the first thing I did, and I always talk about, is pause, breathe, feel, and reassure. So even though I wasn't using that at that time, it's basically what I did, which is actually pause by getting off the trampoline, slow my breathing right down, calming my breathing down to boost my relaxation response, okay? To then start feeling, and I just noticed how I was feeling, and there was that fear still there, so I just allowed myself to just notice, and then I began to reassure myself. And I just began to say, do you know what, Georgie? You've jumped higher than that before and your knees haven't given way. You were basically telling your knees to give way, so they gave way. Okay? And even when your knees gave way and you landed, your shoulder landed on the trampoline and your neck really went to, your neck went just from there to a nice soft landing. So yes, it went suddenly, but onto a soft landing. And your neck is strong and healthy. You've got so many ligaments and tendons. And I was basically just reassuring myself and saying, you're absolutely fine. So why don't you just gradually start moving your neck? And bearing in mind that even if I'd injured myself badly, you know, I wouldn't have been able to do any of anything physical. I would, in the past, I'd just gone, oh, and tightened up, which makes it worse. And then sort of tried to move, but try and get back into the house, but not move my neck. Whereas I was really softening everything down and relaxing and reassuring myself, and just told myself to start moving my neck. And within 10 minutes, I had no pain. Now that for me was a really good learning experience. And I think, just as we've said with you, Lubna, as well, episodes like this are wonderful if you can learn from them. Okay, and even if it's about looking back and then learning, okay, so what was going on at that time? If you're not aware of what the stress was, even just being able to ask the question on the top of your piece of paper, you know, what was going on when my neck went the other day? And then free writing, see what comes up. Even when nothing comes up, then to just pause, breathe, feel, and actually practice emotional awareness, do the self-soothing. It might be stroking your arms and just allowing yourself to just be calm. And then often things will settle down. Whereas if you are fearful and you focus on it and what you can do, and then think, oh my God, that's it, I'm going to have this pain for 10 years again like I did before, that then will start spiraling you down. But even if you start going down, you can stop that and start bringing yourself back up again.
I think that the lovely thing about when you start to feel better is that then the episodes that you have, like if you call it a setback, I would call it an advantage in a way, or like an opportunity, is that then you can learn from it. Whereas before, when you had a lot of pain, then it's just kind of all rolled into one, isn't it? It's all disguised as the same thing. But now you kind of like, okay, this is just a small highlight, and maybe I can learn more from it rather than it's just diffuse.
Really, and it's hard when it's severe pain. It is hard, but it is actually that rather than just reacting with fear and tightening up, to actually, even if you do that initially, to just pause, breathe, feel, slowly breathing down and go, okay, that's interesting. I wonder why this has happened. And not being in your head trying to overanalyze and work it out, but actually to just be able to pause and just notice how you're feeling and to calm yourself down, because that then is counteracting that fight or flight response. Okay, so hello, Sarah. Sarah McCabe said hello as we work our way down. So Sophie says, how do you cope with pregnancy nausea that lasts for months? Does indifference or safety work with this too? Interesting question. So not about pain in pregnancy, but about nausea in pregnancy.
I don't know on that one.
There you are. We are being honest here.
What we do know is that stress, a stress state, then that creates stress hormones, and that can affect your balance of hormones. So we do know that much.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what I was going to say, just that we know that stress affects hormones. And so, yes, it can affect, menstruation, the menopause, and anything to do with pregnancy. So the chances are that by doing so, try it, Sophie. What's the harm in actually using this work and actually doing a lot of self-soothing, self-care, and beginning to recognise that, for example, if you think that the first symptom I used to get was nausea. And that was as a 6-year-old child in the Air Force, moving around from different schools in different countries. And I was diagnosed with something called mesenteric adenitis, which is inflammation of the glands in the mesentery, which is the tissues that holds the bowel together. But there's no test for that. It was just prod. Yes, that makes it worse. But basically, the symptom was nausea. And we know that that is a stress-induced symptom. So actually, I would suggest, I think we're both saying here, that the chances are that using this sort of approach and self-soothing and beginning to really be kind to yourself, that actually this could well help ease things anyway. But do let us know, Sophie.
It's not the lovely thing is, it's not going to harm, is it?
Quite.
We can only benefit from
nothing else.
Everyone can benefit from like a bit of self-care and like reducing stress and things, can't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And beliefs play a huge part. So if you just, rather than having this firm, rather than being in your head thinking, is this TMS, is it not TMS? But actually recognizing that stress impacts every symptom in our body, every system in our body as well, then actually we know it can have an impact. So why not just be freely open to actually just be curious and see what's happening, rather than I'm going to give this a go and see if it works and proves this, or being in the head, or maybe it won't work, maybe it will work, depending on how you deal with things. Okay, so I hope that helps anyway, Sophie. So yes, Lindsay asks another question for you, Tania.
Do people come to you as a chiropractor first, and then you end up treating them as a TMS patient? Yeah, people do come to me primarily as a chiropractor. I don't do many people entirely TMS, because that's not what they actually come for. So I guess I'm like the warm-up guy. And so I treat them, but I don't talk about this is wonky, that's out, and catastrophize what I say. So there's tension in your body. We're going to see if we can calm things down, and let's talk about what's, is there any stress in your life that could be tensing up your muscles? And just try and sort of like talk in that sort of way. And if people are open to it, then I will suggest a bit of journaling, maybe some yoga, focused breathing, something like that. So that I kind of tend to mix the two. Is my
integrating it.
That's my place. And if I think they need a little bit more, then occasionally I will sort of like refer them elsewhere. But that's kind of where I sit.
And that's something that's you gradually come to realize is what fits you best, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Every practitioner. No, but this is where you feel comfortable with what you're doing. Yeah. And I think that's important. And it is important to have many of us in this sort of work, physio, osteopaths, chiropractors, GPs, who don't necessarily work with individuals one-to-one with TMS, but actually are people who sow the seeds and who are raising awareness and opening the minds up of people who actually don't know about this work. So I think it's really important.
We need lots of people out in the field, don't we? Who are when people in pain come to the logical thing like the GP or the chiropractor, the physio, whatever, who doesn't go, well, actually, you're going to have this pain for years. You're going to have to come to me every week, or whatever. Yeah. We need people, like more and more people to know. The more people that know it, the better.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so moving on. Well, first of all, Lubna says, that's brilliant. Thank you. You're right. I can definitely learn from my response to the experience. And not only that, Lubna, that will help you moving forward. Excuse me, again, because each time it gets easier. So Lucinda said, I listened to the guy who created ISTVP. I presume you mean Dr. Alan Abbas, who's leading this field over in Canada. And he said that we can get symptoms with positive experiences. Can you explain, please? Absolutely, we can. If an emotion is unresolved, then actually it can still trigger a symptom. And in fact, I have on my board here something that says, what positive thought triggered the worry? Okay, ask the question and feel, because that can help as well. So I had that up for years. If somebody, I mean, most people listening will probably understand this, that often when they might have they're feeling really good. Oh my God, I'm feeling okay. I've been okay for an hour or a day. And that positive thought often triggers that, how long is it going to last? Yeah.
How can I sabotage that?
Yeah. And so unconsciously then there's that fear, and then that can trigger things. Another example of this I remember was when my daughter was a teenager. So she's 28 now. So she was, I think, 17, and she'd been away all summer working as an au pair abroad. And she was due home, and I went for a run with my friend, and it was we were training for the Great North Run, and we were on a road and we were running around, and suddenly Joe said to me, so when's Evie coming home? And I suddenly had this almighty stitch. And I was feeling really emotional but happy. She's coming home, but I felt like I was going to cry. And actually, do you know what? I was on a road. I'm not the sort of person who's just going to blub on the road. So actually, my body protected me from feeling these overwhelming emotions by actually causing a stitch. And Joe understands this work very well, and we just laughed about it. And I stood for a couple of minutes. And twice more on that run, when Evie came into the conversation, I got a stitch. Or if I just thought about her, I got a stitch, because I was so excited about her coming home. But I couldn't allow myself to feel those overwhelming emotions. So yes, I hope that answers your question, Lucinda. Okay, so we've got something from Catherine now. Having believed I have had an injury for so many years, my brain automatically tenses surrounding muscles to protect. Any tips on how to change the automatic response, or does it eventually calm down as fear reduces? So yes, it's changing a belief. Changing beliefs take time, but each time you're triggered, and then you pause, breathe, feel, reassure, you're starting to change that belief. One of my beliefs for decades was that if I get a sore throat, it goes on my chest. I get a cold or a chest infection. And one year I had 10 lots of antibiotics in 1 year, which is crazy when you look back now, but it was a long time ago. And when I came across this work and I began to recognize that our environment affects our body and every cell in our body, etc., then I began to realize that when I have a sore throat, if I'm saying to myself, oh, that's it, I'm going to have a chest infection, then it would happen because I'm telling myself that's going to happen. Whereas when I recognize it being a signal that there's something, that maybe I'm overwhelmed, I'm doing too much, or actually a signal that my immune system isn't working to its best, and then I deal with that, then I didn't need the cold or the chest infection. So that, for the last 15 years, I can count on one hand how many times I've had a cold or a chest infection. And to be honest, it's usually when the shit hits the fan. There's a whole load of stuff all happening at the same time. But it was interesting that initially when this started, I would get a sore throat and I'd be going, oh, that's it, I'm going to get a cold. And I would go, hang on, Georgie, actually, that's not necessarily the case. Because if you've got a sore throat, and I would literally be saying this to myself, not sometimes out loud, sometimes to me in my head, and I'd be going, actually, if you think about it, all a sore throat is showing is that there's something you're not dealing well with. Why is your immune system not working not so well? What's going on in your life? And it usually was because I was trying to cope with too much. And so it might be on one day just literally, when I finish work, just going to have a nice hot bath, listening to music, going off for a walk, sitting in nature, journaling about something, whatever, if there was something specific, or just offloading about free writing. And that gradually helped me change that belief. So this is exactly the same thing. It's a belief you've had, Catherine, and the same thing with old knee problems that I used to have. You will tense, and then even though you tense, that's the unconscious automatic reaction, and it's about then pausing, slow your breathing, feel how you're feeling, and reassure yourself. And the more you're doing that, the more you're reassuring your primal brain that you're safe, everything's okay, you don't need this anymore. What would you add to that, Tania?
Well, if I get any niggles, or if actually someone I'm with who understands it gets any, then we go, how interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah, curious, interested, not
oh my God, that's about.
Absolutely. Do you know what I think also might be helpful here, Catherine, is if I tell you about an episode I had of back pain a few years ago. And that was the first time I'd had back pain since before doing this work. And I remember leaving the NHS and developing, waking up in the morning with sciatica. And of course, it was all the mattress's fault. It had to have been. Gone to bed perfectly fine, though. But at that point, I had no understanding about emotions or anything. And I remember having to go for treatment, but I remember actually bracing myself for the pain, couldn't bend down to put my shoes on or socks on. My kids were doing that for a couple of weeks. And I literally braced myself. And if you think about it, the fight or flight response is tension. It's the heart rate increasing, it's the breathing increasing, and tension to allow you to fight or to flee. And so when we're doing things like core stability exercises, which is tightening up the muscles, we're reinforcing it actually, which is the wrong thing. And on this case, what I was doing is actually just sort of rigidly holding myself and sort of trying to move and trying to bend with a straight back, which was just making it worse. 3 years ago, we were going on holiday, and we hadn't had a holiday for 3 years because of my husband's work. I wonder if he'll listen to this. He's in agriculture, it's always weather dependent. And it had got to the point where I was saying, if we're not going on holiday, I am going off on a retreat somewhere. And it was our 30th wedding anniversary, and we really wanted to get away and celebrate. And so in the end, I kept warning patients, I might cancel you with a week's notice, but it's all weather dependent. So I'd spent probably 2 months going, are we going? We're not going. Are we going? We're not going. And in the end, we did go. And I felt I was dealing with that. I was journaling. I was letting it go. I was carrying on with all the self-care side of things. And I think I was, but there was another trigger on the aeroplane going on holiday. And as we just ordered some Bucks Fizz to celebrate our 30th wedding anniversary, and I picked up my phone to do something, not knowing people could actually send messages while you're in the air. And the nursing home where my mother-in-law was had messaged to say that she'd been taken to hospital. She'd gone to A&E, and we're mid-flight. So I was teasing my husband and saying, well, when we get there, you could go back because I'm not. And then luckily, Zoe, our wonderful Zoe, SIRPA's operations manager, was working that day. So I was messaging her, can you message, my husband's sister? Can you message the care home? Everything got sorted. By the time we landed, she was home again. And do you know what? I was on holiday. I was so excited to have a holiday that I wasn't really aware of how I was feeling, because I was more aware of how excited I was. But of course, I woke up in the morning and I couldn't move. I woke up an immediate severe back pain and sciatica. And I was really interested in my response, because actually, although there was that, the pain, I didn't go down like, oh my God. I immediately thought, I thought I'd been dealing with everything.
Yeah, that's what I do.
It was a completely different reaction. And the difference also was that I rolled on my side, I sat on the edge of the bed, paused, breathed, felt how I was feeling, and then reassured. So I literally slowed my breathing down, calmed my system down, allowed myself to feel how I was feeling. And then I remember just talking to myself and just saying, do you know what, Georgie, you've been doing really well with all that's been going on, but why don't we have a nice quiet day today, and we'll relax on the beach, and we'll do some journaling and some meditating, do a bit of work with my inner child. Everything will be fine. And that's what I did. And the other thing was that I was able to put my shoes and socks on, despite the fact that the pain initially was the same severity as it had been like 15 years before, because I actually just slowed my breathing down and I breathed out as I was bending forward, because we know that breathing out triggers the relaxation response. And I was able to get dressed. I did everything I said I'd do. And then that night, it was around about a 4 or 5 out of 10, rather than sort of a 9 or 10. And I said to myself before going to bed, putting it into my conscious mind, I'm fine, everything's fine. Why don't we get up early in the morning, go for a run on the beach, have a swim, and then we'll meditate in that beautiful gazebo. And that's what I did. And yes, it was uncomfortable when I got up. And I started walking, and then I began running, and then did everything I said. And within a couple of days, things have really settled down. And I just needed to take that time for me. But it's so classic, isn't it? You get on holiday, bang, or you are coming back from holiday, bang.
I just had another thought, suggestion for Catherine, is sometimes what I've done is, and I'm sure we've talked about it before, is visualizing that area as being like nice and warm and healing and relaxed. So that might help as well, just to visualize a lovely healed area.
So visualizing the body, and also visualizing yourself doing something with ease. Maybe we can go into that at another time. But yes, visualization can be very powerful.
Yeah.
As can journaling. And as Scott says, is journaling helpful for relieving tension and stress? Absolutely. It's not the be all and end all, but it absolutely can help. I certainly find it really helpful. If there's something that I'm wound up about, or I'm feeling upset or angry or whatever, then yes, putting pen to paper and offloading can really help. And it also then helps you, if you finish when you've done that. And what was it you said at the beginning, Tania, about
license to be unreasonable? Is that
allowing yourself to be unreasonable? That's it. Yes. Yeah. So this is allowing yourself to be unreasonable on paper. And
don't be polite.
No. This is about
what we all do, isn't it?
Yeah, this is like if you're going to do an unsent letter to somebody, this is about telling them exactly what you want to say in no uncertain terms, because you're going to rip it up and throw it away. And that can be challenging if you're a kind, nice person and you don't normally even recognize you feel like that, or you love someone and you feel, but I understand why they did that. I can't write things like that. But actually being able to acknowledge and express, and really freely, as like a 4 or 5 year old would, would literally, oh, I hate you, wish you weren't my mum. They don't mean that, wish you were dead. They don't mean that.
And I find that a lot of people, they still don't want to even write it down because they feel disloyal.
Yes.
And they feel, well, I love that. And my reply is that if you've got some anger and then you've got some guilt because you feel anger, then like under there is the love. So you've got to get the guilt and the anger out so that then you can actually feel the love for that person.
Yeah.
So it's actually a good thing to get that out so that you're not just feeling angry with them all the time.
Yeah. And then just as importantly, and I think this is a part that many people miss, then actually looking at, okay, what can I learn from this? Or looking at it from the other person's point of view, and wonder why they did that. And what can I learn from this? How can I improve things moving forward? So that each time you're using these as a learning opportunity. So yes, the answer to that, Scott, is yes. And there are different types of journaling. We've got the 7 tips.
We have. One in every port, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So Lucy says, could you talk about accepting the symptoms? Okay. Do you want to have a start on that, Tania?
I guess it's understanding that actually it is coming at you from a place of being helpful. You can just sit with it and you can feel it and let it do its thing in your body and just let it release. Just soften the area and understand that the symptom is just part of your learning. So what is it that you're going to learn? And just sit with it and don't panic about it. Don't catastrophize about it. It's not going to harm you. What else can you say?
I think that's absolutely it. Accepting the symptoms means that you're not resisting them. And resisting them, like trying to push a cat out of the door when they don't want to go out, that creates resistance. And we talk about acceptance and surrendering. And when we talk about surrendering to the pain, people often think this is about if we surrender to the pain, it's going to attack us and it's going to really take over completely. But it's not like that. This is about the more you resist, the more things persist. So if you are fighting that pain, it's fear-based. And we know that fear actually exacerbates pain. It makes things much worse. So this is about actually releasing that and letting it go, accepting the symptoms and recognizing all they are is a signal that you're not feeling safe. And then there's something maybe
you could do. I don't know whether it was you that taught me or whether it was another writer, is to say, okay, well, I want to go for a run. So, and you talk to the pain and go, well, you can come with me if you want, but I'm still going. So you can just still do the things. Don't let it stop you, unless it's, obviously really debilitating, but don't panic about the pain. Allow yourself to still do the things and progressively do more and more.
And I think that wasn't me. I wish it was, but it wasn't me that taught you that. But I think it is a lovely thing. And the other thing about that is much more about acceptance rather than you can go away pain, don't need you, I'm going to go for a run anyway, I'm going to push through. I really don't like that because that's like pushing through pain. It's actually treating it as the enemy, which is, and I often say, if you think about the pain being a message from our inner child, and children need unconditional love, but they also need boundaries. And so if you are going to maybe you're if you excuse me, are pushing through the pain, then you're not listening to your inner child. If that's your inner child going, I don't feel very safe, and that's a symptom that you have that's an indication of that, then it's about self-soothing and looking after that inner child. But it might also be that saying to yourself, okay, do you know what, this isn't a good time. All right, I'm hearing you, pause, breathe, feel, I hear you. But actually, we're about to go into a meeting now, so this is not a good time to actually play up now. But I'm listening, and I promise when we get home, we'll do some I'll do some journaling, and we'll explore all this. But for now, let's get going. And that is such a nice way of doing it. than just pushing through the pain. Because what do we do when we're using medication and when we're going for treatments? We're treating the pain and not listening to the underlying messages. Whereas this allows us to feel and hear the message, and then in a kinder, self-compassionate way, then move forward.
Yeah, it's sometimes I might be out for run. If anything's like triggering, I'll just go, bring it on.
Yes, that often works too.
I'll challenge myself now.
Yeah, and that for many people it can help. Yeah, go on, do your worst.
Yeah,
yeah. For many
because
people,
then you're definitely not resisting, are you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, Catherine says, thank you, really helpful. Louise, this is great. I feel so at home. That's nice.
Oh, that's nice. Louise.
We're at home, aren't we, Tanya?
It's nice to be with people who get it, isn't it? Because out in the rest of the world, it's really challenging because most people say, oh, no, that's not me. And it's just nice to be actually, in an environment where people understand what you're talking about.
Absolutely. And that's the same for us practitioners as well as people who are looking into this for themselves. Okay, so Christina says, I always ask my patients to stop seeing their body as offending them, or the pain offending them, and see their body as having been offended. Yeah, it's a good way of looking at it. They immediately sympathize with the body and start giving it a bit of love.
I often get people, especially if they've got sciatic pain, who they're really cross with their bodies and they'll hit their legs. Yeah. Oh, my body's letting me down.
Yeah.
And I say, well, actually, that leg is part of you. You're responsible for the whole body. And it doesn't help to actually get cross with yourself.
No, quite, absolutely. Yeah, and there's always a reason for that pain. Yeah. Okay. So Lucinda says, bring it on isn't being kind to your inner child. Well, I would say actually it's it's like a child having a tantrum. Actually getting cross with them, trying to stop them doesn't work. But if you just let them paddy, actually it comes up, it settles down. So in a way, it's actually allowing that inner child to just let off if it wants to.
I guess for me it's like, okay, I'm open to what's coming. Give it to me.
I'm not scared
to deal with it. Yeah.
Saying I'm not scared of the pain. So yes.
I'm not like this, Lucinda. Don't worry. I'm not having a scrap and being unkind to myself.
Yeah. And it's not something I specifically recommend, but I do know many people that have done that and they find that it can help. So okay, Lucinda, why does the brain create a new symptom? Well, there could be all sorts of answers to that, but the brain will manifest a symptom if there's unresolved symptoms. Often when an emotion starts surfacing, let's say you start doing this work and an emotion starts surfacing, at that point, the primal brain is still very scared of acknowledging these emotions that have been unresolved for so long. So if you actually, and that's why sometimes, for example, when journaling or doing emotional awareness, as emotions surface, as you start to deal with something, then the symptom can get worse. And that's the brain going, oh, don't go there, this is scary, perceiving those emotions as being a real threat. So quite often that can happen, and often, as Dr. Sana called it, symptom imperative, didn't he? If you haven't dealt with emotion yet, it's imperative you have a symptom, and it might pop up somewhere else, and it's almost like, and the more you can treat it as interesting, again, oh, that's interesting, what's going on now, the better. Because if you're going, oh God, now it's attacking my leg, and it can be a really good thing to add onto your evidence sheet to actually say, oh, that doesn't make sense. It was on the left side of my back yesterday, it's on the right side now. How could that happen if there's a physical problem? Or, oh, I've now got foot pain and all I've been doing is walking. So why would I suddenly damage my foot?
Yeah, and you see it quite a bit in clinic when you're not actually doing SIRPA work, is that someone will come in with one pain and you help them and they resolve it, and then they come back, they say, oh, it's moved to the other shoulder or my lower back now.
Yes.
How interesting.
Yes.
Does that make sense to you?
And that was one of the anomalies that I saw so often with my patients before I came across this work. And I was one of those people. I would have neck pain for a few weeks and that would ease. And then a few weeks later, I'd wake up with sciatica, or I'd wake up with something else. And if we're not dealing with the underlying emotional stuff, it will manifest in some way. And it's gradually working through all this. That's nice from Alison. Listening to this, my aches and pains are easing, putting me in the right mindset. And you make a good point there, Alison, that mindset is so important. It really is. It is about acknowledging emotions and things, but mindsets, it's critical as well, because when we're feeling in a good place, when we are feeling more positive, it's not about just positive psychology or whatever. It's about resilience, feeling more resilient, being able to feel more resilient and coping with what's going on. So that's great.
Good to see you, Alison.
Yes. Well, this has been great, and thank you all for joining us. And this will be still on the SIRPA Facebook page. And as you know, we're doing this once a month. And maybe you can come back and join us at some point, Tania.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
Good. Yeah.
And I felt the fear and did it anyway, didn't I? Because I knew that would sort of like trigger my own buttons, but I've enjoyed it.
Thank you for saying that. And yes, I know that was true. And I think it is for many of us. You know, live Q&As can be challenging. And especially if this is something new, and I know you haven't done this specifically before, and it can be challenging. So good for you. Well done. Thank you. Thank you for being the brave one to come on first as well.
I walked into it, didn't I?
You did. Yes, you did. You made a comment and I said, great, first one to comment, you're doing it. Thanks for offering. And I think it's nice, because it's nice to have, you know, for two of us to be doing it anyway. And to showcase, you know, you as well and your work, because I think your work is so important. On that, you know, catching people who've got acute conditions as well, so that you can sow seeds, so that actually they don't then go down the chronic pain route. So that is just as important as well.
Yeah.
So great. Lovely. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Yeah, if you have any more questions, put them in, and if we remember, we'll go and have a look and see if we can answer them, brief ones in comments. Otherwise, thanks for joining us, and thanks for all your questions, because we couldn't do this if we just have a conversation together.
That's right, because we always like to chat anyway, don't we?
Yes. Okay, take care, everybody. All the best.
Take care. Bye.